Hello everybody and welcome back to F1 22 with me, Dan, and the Slothz team as we continue our journey towards the end of Season 2 with 2 races remaining after this one today. So we'll be finished by this time next week. Anyway, over to the chassis department, picking up a couple of upgrades there because that was one of the areas that we've been lacking in quite significantly. Also going into the aero field to try and work our way up the order in that area as well, because at the moment we kind of suck in all areas, but at least our teammate does. We can actually get the car consistently into the top 10, and well, he can't. Also, I forgot to mention in the last video, if I sounded like complete shit, it's because I'm off the back of recovering from COVID, and well, I'm still recovering from COVID now, now that I'm recording this video, but just so you're aware. Yeah, last week sucked. Anyway, we're on to practice, and we've picked up a few of the points that we can, but we've kind of just locked ourselves out of being able to do anything besides this turbo durability upgrade, which it doesn't give us anyway. But that's fine, because it's the reliability upgrades, and they don't really matter too much unless you're really in need of fighting for a championship. Of course, we've got this 75 points here, which would not unlocked, but we've managed to get one. Then another 150, and once again we're kind of left with this situation of trying to pick one of the things that we can do. We go for the resource points though, and we get it, which is nice. 2 minutes left of the session, so we've run out of things to do, and it's over to P3 where we've got some more 75 points to try and get. We get that one this time. And now it's just a case of picking which upgrade we want, whether we want durability or ERS, and it's going to be ERS on this occasion. Right, onto the starting grid. And we're over to the starting grid. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, as we've got Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc leading the pack away into turn 1, followed by Sergio Perez, and then me. I got into the second row of the grid somehow. Then we have the 2 Mercedes, George Russell, he's alongside his teammate Lewis Hamilton. Behind them, the other Ferrari of Carlos Sainz, and then the lead Alpine Esteban Ocon. Rounding out the top 10, we have Lance Stroll, he's alongside Fernando Alonso. Further down the order, we have Alex Albon starting P11 alongside the other McLaren of Lando Norris. Not a good race for that team. Then we've got Yuki Tsunoda alongside our teammate Théo Pourchaire, who's moving up the order thanks to the new upgrades we've been bringing in. Followed by Daniel Ricciardo and Kevin Magnussen, Robert Schwartzman, and then Nicholas Latifi ahead of 4 cars. What an achievement for him. Oscar Piastri, Joe Guan Yu round out the penultimate row, and finally it is of course Mick Schumacher and Pierre Gasly. Right then, here we go with the United States Grand Prix. The last time we were in the USA, in Miami at the start of the season, we actually did rather well considering the fact that we had a car that was complete crap. A rocket ship, you could say. And down into turn 1 we go. Actually, Lance Stroll, with an extremely aggressive turn 1, manages to make his way up into P4, just ahead of us. The 2 Red Bulls there, and Charles Leclerc leading the pack away in front of us. And we managed to keep the 2 Mercedes behind us, which is about perfect right now, considering where we are in the season. We need to stay ahead of both of them in order to beat them in the Drivers' Championship as we run down towards the very, very long DRS straight, nearly running into the back of Lance Stroll there as he just decides to granddad mode it through the hairpin. We rejoin same place on lap 4. Unfortunately, running the extra downforce here doesn't seem to have helped with our straight line speed, so we are still stuck behind the Alpine, and thankfully not running into the back of him all too often as we come through the fiddly sector 3. Up ahead, Charles Leclerc still leads the field away from Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez, although behind us we now have Esteban Ocon, who has managed to get past Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. As we come around here, and we're going to see a pit stop any second now. I think we should do from at least somebody. There's the 2 leaders peeling off, and we decide to respond by following them into the pit lane and down towards the pit limits. We go. Actually, quite a few people coming in behind us by the looks of things, including oh no, not including Carlos Sainz, who was on the mediums. Everybody else going onto the mediums there. As we turn into the pit box, you can see the engine condition on the right hand side is not looking very good at all. In fact, actually, when we come to Mexico, we just replace the entire power unit, just because we've got nothing left to give, and we may as well use the opportunity there with our straight line speed to climb up the field a bit. But here we go, we've rejoined on lap 7, about to become lap 8, where the pit stops are finally coming to an end. And there's Lance Stroll coming out of the pit lane. We've managed to get the undercut on him, nearly crash into him in turn 1, but we've got round. And, well, he's gone for the option of which he usually goes for, which is the hard tyre in his second stint, which has completely ruined any opportunity that he had of climbing up to a podium, which realistically he could have done had he decided to make the switch to the soft instead. Anyway, our job at hand is to take P4 away from Charles Leclerc as we come down into turn 1. In actual fact, this is a battle for a podium position at this point, because if you look at the mini-map, Carlos Sainz is way ahead of us right now and is yet to pit. So we'll be watching him to see what will happen. He'll probably come out somewhere in between us and the pack being led by Esteban Ocon at the moment. Actually, talking of the rest of the pack, our teammate's actually behind the McLaren right now, which is, well, still outside of the top 10, but it's still good to see that he's actually able to fight now. He's not going to be staying with us next season, though. I will say that much. Onto the back straight we go. Charles Leclerc right in front of us right now. DRS open, ERS deployed, and much like it was a few races ago, we've managed to get to pass him fairly easily until he slips it up the inside of the brakes. No, he doesn't. We are past Charles Leclerc. The Ferrari, even with our struggling power unit, is no match for us. And that promotes us up into P4 momentarily, with the two Red Bulls just a couple of seconds down the road. And it looks as though Carlos Sainz has come into the pits on the mini-map. He's going slow, and we will round the final corner with two Red Bulls ahead of us and both Ferraris now behind. There's the situation with the power unit. You can see the MGU-H and the turbocharger are the culprits for that orange colour. But as I say, we'll replace them in the next race. And now it's just a 5-lap sprint to the end as we join at the end of that sprint on the final lap, and round the final corner we go. It's a straight matchup between Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen. Either could win it, or ideally both could crash into each other, and then I can take advantage of it, which is something that we've done before. You may also see there's a little bit of damage on the front of the car there. That was from earlier on in the Grand Prix, where we were fighting our way through some of the cars. In fact, that might have actually been at the start of the Grand Prix when Lance Stroll decided to send one like the Almighty up the inside, inside of everybody. But regardless, we're still in a podium position, and I think a lot of these upgrades that we've been putting on the car have really started to take effect. It's just a shame that we had to struggle getting P7 in the past 3 Grand Prix. But look at the gap we've pulled over the Ferrari now. It's just incredible. DRS, we managed to catch the Red Bulls. In fact, I think if we had a couple more laps, it would have been possible to overtake one or maybe even both of them and win this race. Maybe if we hadn't had such a shoddy start to the Grand Prix, that might have been possible. But for now, though, round the final few corners we go. Really closing up now on the two of them. I think one of them might actually have a problem at this stage because they are going so slow around the final sectors that it doesn't seem like this is a genuine pace issue. But whatever it is, we come into the final corner and we're going to cross the line on the podium. We're celebrating already. We crash into the Aramco boards, which will anger the Saudi sponsors, and then park it right on the racing line in everyone's way as they all cross the line. We get driver of the day as well, which is always nice to see. And, well, there we go. There we are in the background. I don't remember if we've had a podium this season. I think we may have done. But we've still yet to have that race win as we celebrate with Max Verstappen, congratulating him for his achievement of winning yet another Grand Prix. That will certainly help his chances in the Drivers' Championship, that's for sure. And, well, I guess it's about time that we head over and have a look at where he is in the Drivers' Championship with the race results. And here we are with the race results. Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez both finished ahead of us, but we surprisingly pick up the fastest lap in third. Then we have Charles Leclerc, Esteban Ocon, Lewis Hamilton, Carlos Sainz, Lance Stroll, Lando Norris and George Russell round out the top 10. And over to the Drivers' Championship, Charles Leclerc remains at the top of the table ahead of Fernando Alonso, but Max Verstappen jumps up to third ahead of Lando Norris. Then we have George Russell, Sergio Perez, Carlos Sainz, me, Lewis Hamilton, and Esteban Ocon. Further down the order, we have Lance Stroll, Yuki Tsunoda, Alex Albon, Pierre Gasly, Kevin Magnussen, Oscar Piastri, Daniel Ricciardo, and Nicholas Latifi making out the point scorers, followed by Teo Pourchaire, Robert Schwartzman, Zhou Guanyu, and Mick Schumacher. Finally, no changes in the Constructors' Championship. McLaren very narrowly ahead at the top, ahead of Ferrari and Red Bull, followed by Mercedes, Slothz, Alpine, AlphaTauri, Williams, Haas, Alfa Romeo, and finally Aston Martin. That's all for now. We'll catch you in Mexico.